Oh, so who's ever gone out for dinner in a big group and then the check comes and it goes totally pear-shaped? Well, that was me this weekend. So went out for dinner, group of mates, and look, known each other for a while. Everyone's at their own sort of level in terms of what they're doing in life, in terms of their financial position, what their bank balance is. Not everybody's the same, and that's the beautiful part about Australia. It's a beautiful part about just humanity, right? We can get together with people, and all of that stuff goes aside, especially when we share a meal. So we were going to catch up, go to Oporto's, because, man, we all love that Portuguese chicken flavour. One of our mates who's, loaded, man, proper rich, but, none of us really know where the money comes from. It's just more than anybody should ever have. Doesn't seem to do much for it. And it's just endless, right? He's like, no, I'm not really feeling Oporto's. Let's go to, XYZ restaurant. Problem is, XYZ restaurant, I'm not going to name them, but they're crazy expensive, silly expensive. So the rest of us, oh man, that's probably not the best idea. Not everybody wants to drop that sort of money on a freaking, weekend lunch. No, man, I got this. Still also a little bit awkward because you don't want someone else shouting your lunch, but, he was adamant, man. No, let's go. It's the best. I got this. So we rock up. Everybody enjoys their meal, just orders what they want to order, and things are delicious, coming out on time. Everything's beautiful. Get to the end of the meal, everyone's stuffed, everyone's full. Check comes out, and we sort of expect that it's going to go one way at the table. I was happy to chip in as well. So check comes out, and I'm just waiting for him to say, I'll pay this much of it, and you guys split the rest or whatever. And he kind of grabs the check and just pushes it out, and it's just like, oh boys, I'm actually a bit tight this week, can you spot me? so we've gone from we were just gonna have a real nice casual lunch at Oporto, going to this freaking crazy expensive place, and all of a sudden the bill is on us and he's not even paying at all. So it was definitely one of those moments where you scratch your head. The issue with that is that, so my mate that's super loaded that I'm talking about is actually Anthony Albanese and his mate Jim Chalmers and the Australian government generally. That story didn't happen at all, but it's a freaking good euphemism of what is happening at the moment in Australia. We've got a government that literally has more money than they know what to do with, but not in the pocket, right? In terms of debt and deficit and loan, they just there's endless for them. It's a freaking party. They're so happy they don't know what to do with it. And they're spending it left, right, and center. Budget blowouts here, $15 billion lost there. Oh yeah, $1.5 billion for a basic hospital, not a problem. Most expensive building in the Southern Hemisphere. None of it makes sense. And you can look up those examples. It's freaking insane. But here's the part that really bothers me. With all of this tax stuff, with all of this budget stuff that's now going on, and all the debate around it, the vitriol and let's call it passion, but there's a little bit of hate around it too, and people yelling at each other and accusing each other of this and that, and you don't get it, and you're a capitalist, you're a communist, you're this, you're that. I think we're actually losing sight of the real villains, right? Because in this scenario, if the government is that mate of mine that is just made of money, right? And even in that scenario, they don't want to pay, they don't want to flip the bill. Cool. What would happen at that table with me and my mates if there was a group of 10 and 4 of us just make a little bit more money? You don't hold it over anyone's head, but us 4 would grab the bill, we'd split it and we'd sort it out, because it doesn't bother me this way or that, spending an extra $50, $100 to help out a friend, right? We do it routinely. It's not a big deal. We all get to go to the nice restaurant and enjoy it. So what happens in that scenario is the few guys at the top pay the bill for everyone because it doesn't affect us. What the Australian government refuses to do, whether it's Liberal or Labor, that's the thing. It makes no difference. They're both as bad at this. They refuse to tax the top. They refuse to make the top pick up the bill that the rest of us instead have to pay. So when you talk about mining, when you talk about gas, when you talk about the big 4 banks, when you talk about insurance in this country, it's not just about revenue and turnover, right? And look it up. I implore you again, look it up. We have some of the most profitable corporations in the world, right? These guys are making bank, not just in profit margins, but literally the amount out of a 25 million person population. They're making what other banks are making in 250 million populations, the same dollar. So I'm not even talking percentage. And the only thing that means is we are getting absolutely ripped. And they're getting it in many cases tax-free, or with 1 million subsidies or 1 million concessions or 1 million tax breaks from government. So this is my argument, yeah? Let's stop fighting with each other, because at the end of the day, even if you're on the Labor side, even if you're a socialist, whatever the circumstance might be, the argument cannot be that another regular Australian pays it. And I'm not talking about a regular income earner, 70 grand, 80 grand, whatever, unless you are in that hyper wealthy level, unless you're in that conglomerate level, unless you're in that incredibly profitable, lucrative sector of touching our natural resources and taking our resources like gas and coal and iron ore for pennies on the dollar, unless you're those guys, we shouldn't even be entering the conversation. We need to deplete as much of their money as we can before we even start considering everybody else for tax raises, right? So let's just keep that in mind. Let's frame it that way. Stop yelling at each other. Let's start yelling back at the government and say, you know what, guys, there's a whole bunch of companies and organizations in this country that are getting away with financial murder. Let's peg them to the wall before we start pushing average Australians down so far that they can't even get off their knees anymore. Anyway, that's my thought for the day. Alex Money out.